I asked an AI to write a synopsis for a third Amazing Spider-Man movie starring Andrew Garfield. This is what the AI wrote back to me. This is the plot for The Amazing Spider-Man 3. The Amazing Spider-Man 3, directed by Mark Webb and starring Andrew Garfield, follows the continued journey of the Amazing Spider-Man as he confronts the malevolent plans of Oscorp Industries whilst coming to terms with the death of Gwen Stacy. The film begins immediately after the intense climax of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The menacing Rhino wreaks havoc on the streets of New York, and Spider-Man, determined to protect the innocent, springs into action. Spider-Man's thoughts throughout the battle are consumed by memories of Gwen Stacy. However, he draws strength from these memories, realizing that he must continue to protect the city she loved. Citizens look on in awe, their faith in the web-slinger reaffirmed. They cheer for their hero and offer support from the sidelines. Spider-Man's resourcefulness and unwavering sense of responsibility allow him to gain the upper hand. Using his intellect and strategic thinking, he incapacitates Rhino, ensuring the safety of the city. As the dust settles and the crowd's applause fills the air, Spider-Man stands atop a crushed car, surveying the aftermath of the battle. The weight of his loss and the challenges that lie ahead are evident. He knows that this victory is just the beginning of a greater battle, one that will test him both physically and emotionally. The opening act of the film sets the stage for an electrifying and emotionally charged journey as Spider-Man faces new threats, grapples with his personal demons, and strives to protect a city that both admires and depends on him. Peter Parker continues to come to terms with Gwen's demise, hallucinating her often and consuming himself with guilt. He has distanced himself from Aunt May in a bid to protect her, as he could not do with his already fallen loved ones, throwing himself into his responsibilities as Spider-Man. Upon the arrest of Alexei Sitsevich, the mechanical Rhino suit is removed and transported. Spider-Man is seen to be keeping a close eye on the transportation as he swings from skyscraper to skyscraper, eventually leading him back to Oscorp Industries. Meanwhile, under new leadership, Oscorp Industries continues to conduct secret experiments. The puppet master behind these experiments is revealed to be Gustav Fiers, otherwise known as the Gentleman or the Man in the Shadows. Gustav Fiers had enlisted the help of Otto Octavius, a brilliant scientist and Gustav's right-hand man, to work behind the scenes for many years in the creation of these sinister experiments, including the creation of the Rhino suit and the transformation of Max Dillon into Electro. Otto quickly becomes obsessed with proving his intellect and powers, ultimately succumbing to the influence of his mechanical appendages, transforming into the fearsome Dr. Octopus. As Dr. Octopus takes control of Oscorp's resources, nearing the final step of their sinister plan, he orchestrates a series of brutal attacks on New York City to lure Spider-Man into his clutches. We discover that Dr. Octopus is desperate for Spider-Man's blood and will stop at nothing to claim it. The same blood that Harry Osborn deeply desired in the last film to help rid him of the fatal Osborn disease. Spider-Man quickly turns his attention towards Oscorp, investigating deeper into the heart of the building, uncovering the full extent of their plan. Oscorp's experiments involve dangerous and unethical methods to revive a recently deceased Norman Osborn, the former CEO. With potentially catastrophic consequences to the city of New York and the world beyond it, Spider-Man knows he must expose Oscorp's dark secrets and put an end to their malevolent experiments. In the climactic finale, Spider-Man confronts Dr. Octopus in a final showdown deep in the lower levels of Oscorp. Spider-Man preys upon Doc Ock in this darker-toned battle as he knows there is too much at stake. Doc Ock uses advanced but untested machinery at an attempt to turn the tide of the battle, inflicting heavy damage upon the web-slinger and even removing his mask. Driven by his regrets, Peter is able to overcome him, trapping Octavius in an experimentation chamber that he had created himself. Peter quickly makes his way to Gustav Fiers at the top of Oscorp, easily beating him in physicality. Defeated, Gustav Fiers makes a last-ditch attempt to ensnare the mind of Peter, mocking him of his fatal mistakes and the consequences that followed, including taunting his parents' death. Filled with rage, It is when the memory of Uncle Ben and Gwen Stacy appear that it reminds Peter of his responsibilities and keeps him on the path of integrity. Spider-Man reveals the truth to the world and dismantles Oscorp's sinister scheme, with SWAT teams emerging the corporation and arresting both Otto Octavius and Gustav Fiers. The world watches on as the immoral actions of a once great corporation are exposed. The film concludes with Peter standing alone in a graveyard, reflecting on his journey and the impact of his choices, vowing to continue to protect the innocent and ensure that Oscorp's dangerous experiments never resurface. As Peter leaves the graveyard, it's revealed to be not the grave of Gwen Stacy, but the grave of Uncle Ben. He has finally come to terms with the death of Gwen Stacy. He reconciles with Aunt May and promises never to leave her again. Meanwhile, Otto Octavius and Gustav Fiers are imprisoned in the Ravencroft Institute, where a deranged Harry Osborn still resides in the shadows. The future looks uncertain, but better off with the amazing Spider-Man once again protecting the city. This AI-generated third chapter in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise definitely feels like a more focused and personal storyline, which concludes Andrew Garfield's journey as the web slinger, fulfilling the void that has been left ever since its abandonment. Having Andrew's Peter Parker fight his inner demons and become a more tortured and darker version of the Spider-Man character could have been a really interesting showcase to behold, especially with his exceptional acting range. There are some things that don't feel quite right, however, such as the character of Peter Parker would never leave his Aunt May, despite all of the torment he has gone through. There also seems to be more unanswered questions regarding his parents' past, which was a huge selling point in the reboot of the franchise. I enjoy the addition of bringing Uncle Ben back as a key role in guiding Spider-Man, whilst also being a reminder of why he must continue to actually be Spider-Man, a major part of the character which was unfortunately missing from the second film. This is, however, just an AI-generated plot and will most likely never come to fruition. So none of this really matters. It's just a fool's hope. I hope you enjoyed and leave a comment on what you think. Goodbye for now.